I wish I could give you a formula where you would always love yourself, but I can't because I don't know it. And if you know that, please let me know because I really, really need it. I think that's why that there's not a formula of if you do this and this and this, you will always guaranteed love yourself. I think it's a journey. You have to go through this journey of figuring out your worth, figuring out your identity, figuring out your love for yourself. When you include God on that journey, I feel like you go in a better direction than if you didn't. Hey, it's Jenna K, and welcome to episode 10 of the Get Ready With Me podcast. I am so excited to be here. I can't believe it's episode 10. That's insane. If you guys have listened all the way to this point, I love you so much. You're the real one. I hope your guys' day is going well. Mine has been going okay. I curled my hair today, but only like one side kept curl and the other side did not. I had to recurl this side like so many times. So that's how my day is going so far. But other than that, it's been good. All right, I want to start with a get right to know you question. The get to know you question of episode 10 is, if you had to describe yourself as an animal, which one would you be? Oh, I don't know. That is such a hard question. My favorite animal is a dog, but I don't think I would be a dog if I was an animal. I would be a very laid back dog. I don't know what animal I would be. Maybe I'd be an otter. I don't know why, but that seems true. Little otter. I guess I'll have to think about that one, but I'm gonna say an otter. And I have no reason for it but I feel like I'm an otter. Anywho, alright, I am very excited for this episode. We are going to do a 3-parter series with this episode, so I will explain more as we get on with it. So let's just dive in, shall we? Alright, if you have listened for a while, or if you know me, you know that I love the topic love. Very, very passionate about this subject. I want to dedicate my next 3 episodes to this topic, and I've noticed as I have studied about the topic of love, I have seen this cycle, and the cycle is loving God, loving others, and loving self. It's just this circle. When we love God, we want to love ourselves and we want to love others, or vice versa. When we love others, we love God, we love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we love God and we want to love others. So it's just this cycle is what I've experienced and what I have studied. These principles and these concepts interconnect with each other. So I want to talk about the part of loving ourselves. I think as Christians, and especially members of the church, there is this emphasis of loving others, which is not bad. We should love others. But I feel like we don't teach people how to love themselves while loving others, if that makes sense. And I'm not talking about self-indulging in yourself, being totally obsessed with yourself. I'm talking about when you truly see your self-worth and when you truly see your divine identity. That's when self-love comes, not from the world. I'm not talking about the worldly love yourself. So I kind of just wanted to talk about my story of my journey with loving myself, because I've been a very insecure person all my life. I'm still working through things, and I'm still working towards loving myself fully. So when I was a primary kid, I would go to primary and we would learn all about loving others and all of the good things that Jesus Christ has taught, which are good things, right? But I took that to the extreme. I took that as I need to sacrifice my safety, my needs and my wants for other people's safety, wants, and needs. There was no boundaries when I was little and when I grew up, when I was like in middle school and when I was in high school. And I would never stand up for myself. I would always let other people walk all over me. I would almost kick my feelings to the curb and praise somebody else's feelings. And I thought that this was Christian, you know? But I was in total turmoil. I was always in conflict with myself. I went in severe depression. I had severe anxiety. It was not a good time. And I realized that I need to love myself in order to love others. There's a wonderful analogy of a airplane. If you've ever been on an airplane, you know that the flight attendant tells you to take care of your oxygen mask when there's an emergency before you help others. You need to have that oxygen mask in order for you to help others. After all of this learning I need to take care of myself before I can take care of others was almost revolutionary for me. It was my senior year after I graduated where I really felt like I started to love myself. And I did a couple of things. I spent more time in the scriptures. I had more purpose in my life because I was trying to serve a mission. I was preparing to serve a mission and go through the temple. So I had something to work towards. And I was surrounded by people who love me. And I think those things are so important when we are trying to love ourselves as a Christian. So the question comes up of how can we love ourselves the way that Christ does? And I think the number one thing is to pray about it. Actually praying to Christ and asking how he feels about you. I remember doing that after making mistakes, and when I made mistakes I would feel like, oh, I'm not worth it. I'm garbage, da-da-da-da-da. But then I would pray to God and asking, okay, how do you feel about me? And it would be the total opposite of how I really felt about myself. I think learn from God and learn how he loves you. And I think also another thing is to observe how Christ loves others and realize also that he went through the atonement for you. He went through hell and back for you. He sacrificed literally his life and so much more for you, and he would not do that if he did not love you. Christ also loves unconditionally. There's no conditions set on his love. And that's how we should love ourselves, especially if you're going through trial and whether you've made mistakes and seeking for forgiveness. This is very important to remember that we need to learn how to love ourselves and realize that we have worth, and that is not tied to all of the good things or bad things that we do. Another thing that I did was I had a purpose. I had the temple in mind. That was my purpose. And it also helped that I really felt like spreading the love of God was my purpose. After like feeling the love of God for me, as I read my scriptures, I would want to share that with others, and I felt like that was a huge part of my purpose. But I feel like once you have a purpose and once you have something that you are working towards, it helps your self-confidence like so much, and your self-esteem so much. I know people probably know this and I'm a broken record, but it's very, very true. And then another one was I surrounded myself with people who actually love me, and that was my family at the time. I could trust my family. I loved my family, and my mom is amazing, and she helped me see how amazing I am. And she helped me love myself a little bit more. I wish I could give you a formula where you would always love yourself, but I can't because I don't know it. And if you know that, please let me know because I really, really need it. So these are the things that helped me in my journey. And I know everybody's journey is so different than mine. I think that's why that there's not a formula of if you do this and this and this, you will always guaranteed love yourself. I think it's a journey. You have to go through this journey of figuring out your worth, figuring out your identity, figuring out your love for yourself. When you include God on that journey, I feel like you go in a better direction than if you didn't. If you listen to the world about your worth, base your worth solely on your transactional actions, whether you're good or bad. If you do that, then those things are very you can't depend on those things. World trends change like crazy. Like social media trends. There's like one week there's another trending sound, and then it's gone by like a month. Like, and if you set your worth on those things, it won't bring you true lasting happiness, and you won't have that true love for yourself. It will always be changing. Another thing I wanted to talk about is this idea of self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence. I feel like those are very interconnected with each other. Once you start loving yourself, your self-esteem starts going up, your self-confidence, your ability to be able to be assertive with other people, which Jesus Christ was assertive with other people. He set boundaries. He told people what's what, honestly, but in a very respectful way. And we are here to learn how to be like Jesus, because that is in turn how we are going to be able to be in the celestial kingdom. I think a lot of people think that loving others is taking away your boundaries, and I don't think that's really true. I don't think that's true at all, honestly, because as I'm looking at Jesus Christ's life, and as I'm learning more about God, they have boundaries. Like, one boundary they have is that no unclean thing can dwell in the kingdom of God. That is a boundary, and it protects the sacredness and the holiness of the, I was about to say of the temple too, but of heaven and of the kingdom of God. And when I had that realization, I was like, wow, whoa, I can have boundaries. I can protect myself. I can say, okay, you are not helpful for my life. I don't have to have you in my life, or I would love to have you in my life, but these things aren't working for me. These things are draining my energy and not helping me reach my full potential. I kind of just want to move on. The last thing I want to talk about is how do we balance self-love and being humble? Because I think we have gotten that idea, if I praise myself and if I say, oh, I'm doing a great job, that's prideful and that's bad. No, that's not bad. It's okay to tell yourself that you're doing a good job. In fact, that's good for your mental health. Please do it. Jesus Christ wouldn't say, oh, you're doing horrible. Jesus Christ wouldn't put down your work or put down what you're doing. He would cheer you on, and he would say, like, you are doing amazing. Keep going. You got this. I'm so proud of you. And I just had this realization. We have voices in our minds, and I remember, I don't know how true this is because it's like in the back of my memory, but I was in a class and they were saying that we remember the negative more than we do the positive, and our voices in our head are more negative than they are positive. And that blew my mind, and we need to have our thoughts be directed towards Jesus Christ. We need to have our thoughts sound the way that Jesus Christ would talk to us, not how Satan would talk to us. Dude, I just had that realization, but it's so true. I need to think, are my thoughts the way that Jesus Christ would speak to me, or the way that Satan would speak to me? And if it's the way that Satan speaks to me, which most of the time it is, sadly, I need to change it. I need to change it to how Jesus Christ will speak to me. It brings the spirit more. Anyway, but moving on, if we're doing a good job, say you're doing a good job. One thing I hate, I shouldn't say hate is a very strong word, but dislike rather strong, personally is when somebody works so hard on a piece of art, whether it be music, painting, or whatever, and somebody's like, oh my gosh, that's so good, and they're like, no, it isn't. Or they're like trying to put themselves down. They try to degrade their work, and it makes me so sad that somebody feels like they have to put down themselves in order to feel like they're Christian, which no, Jesus Christ wouldn't do that. And I get it, like, some people are very insecure, and we need to work on loving ourselves and loving our work that we put out there, our purpose. How do we balance that self-love and being humble at the same time? President Uchtdorf, Elder? I always get confused. Is it president or elder? I don't know, you can tell me. But Elder Uchtdorf said an amazing thing, and he says, some suppose that humility isn't about beating ourselves up. Humility does not mean convincing ourselves that we are worthless, meaningless, or of little value. Nor does it mean denying or withholding the talents God has given us. We don't discover humility by thinking less of ourselves. We discover humility by thinking less about ourselves. It comes as we go about our work with an attitude of serving God and our fellow men. I love this quote because humility does not mean beating ourselves up or denying that we have talents. So let's just be better at loving ourselves and accepting that we have talents and gifts. How do we balance self-love and being humble? I think keeping your relationship with God and asking Him what we can do better, and the Spirit will show you what you can. We'll give you a little reality check per se. And I feel like as you stay close to the Spirit will show you the truth. And reading the scriptures will also remind you of things that you are doing wrong and that you could be better at. I think that's another thing about self-love is realizing that when there are times where you can improve and where you have made mistakes, that you take it as a learning lesson and not as I am bad, and not in a shameful perspective. I just know that there is room to love ourselves, to respect ourselves, and to love others. In fact, when we love ourselves, we have more capacity to love and take care of others. And I know that Jesus Christ wouldn't want us to hate ourselves or put ourselves down. He loves us very, very much, and I believe that it hurts Him whenever we talk badly about ourselves. So let this podcast episode be a reminder to you of how you're treating yourself. These principles are what I have learned from my self-love journey, so take whatever you need. Anyway, I just know that the worth of souls is great in the sight of God, and Jesus Christ truly, truly loves us and would do anything for us, and we need to love ourselves unconditionally, just like Christ did. And I say these things, and in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Well, guys, that was episode 10 of the Get Ready With Me podcast and the first part of the Cycle of Love series. I am super excited to keep on going with this series. I am very, very passionate about this subject. I am very grateful that I was able to talk to you guys a little bit about self-love. Again, this is just my opinions. Just take whatever you need from this episode. I just want this episode to help people and help you love yourself a little bit more, or decide to go through that journey of self-love. And I also wanted this episode to show that we can love ourselves and we can love others all at the same time. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like this little 3-part series, just let me know. And if you want to share the podcast, I would truly appreciate that. And subscribe to YouTube and rate the podcast on Spotify. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I give out little updates for Get Ready With Me, and we can just have a party over there. Anyway, the next episode is going to be all about a loving God. I'm super excited for that, so stay tuned for next week. I hope you know that I love you guys and know that Jesus Christ loves you, and I will see you guys next week for episode 11. Bye, guys.